Optionally, as part of the data load process, the JLIT module can be used to apply data quality rules checks to incoming data as it's loaded. To access the JLIT module from the data warehouse map, we simply point to the module and click. Execution of JLIT can be optionally switched on and off from the data loader definition screen by checking the JLIT checkbox. JLIT applies two sets of data quality checks to incoming data. Firstly, it will check technically whether the data has technical integrity. Secondly, it will apply business rules which are defined by the data warehouse developer. To define those business rules, first of all, we need to go into the JLIT profile screen. The JLIT profile screen presents a list of all of the tables that are included in the data loader. So the first thing we need to do is to identify which table it is that we want to apply the business rules check to. What we're going to do here is apply a business rule to the contact table and check whether or not the contact table has a relevant entry in the titles table. So we're going to do a foreign key check. So we simply go into the profile entry for that particular table, which shows us a list of all the business rules that have been applied to it already. And as we can see, no rules have currently been applied. So we're going to create a new one and use the inbuilt rule builder to define those rules. So firstly, we need to give the rule a name, and the name that I'm going to apply to this particular rule is validate title. So we just type in here validate title, and that's our rule name defined. Then we're required to give a short rule description. This is validate the contact's title, and we'll use the same entry for the description for the moment. The next thing I need to do is to identify which field it is that I'm going to validate against the contact table. Well, I'm going to validate the title field, so I select title. Then I need to identify what type of rule is going to be applied to this particular field, and in this case it's a foreign key rule. So then I need to identify which table holds the master records, and in this case it's the titles table. Then I need to identify what the key field of the titles table it is that needs looking up from the foreign key field within the contact table, and again that's title. So having defined the rule, I simply click save, and that will then create that business rule for me. To apply the rule to the data, I just need to execute the data loader once more. So now instead of just loading the data into the data warehouse, the JLIT module will also be executed. So to instigate the data loader manually, I go back to the home page, click the Load It module, and then execute and confirm the data loader. Again, from the import log screen, I'll see a new entry appear for the execution of this particular instance of the data loader. The data loader commences, log entry goes orange again to tell us that it's in progress, and on completion, the log entry goes green to indicate that the data loader has completed. So now, if we go to the jailer entry associated with the data loader, we can see that there are 18,900 records that have failed the business rules check. I can look at these records by clicking the glasses icon. So these are the entries that appear in the jail table. On the left hand side, it tells me exactly which rule or rules actually failed for this particular row. And I can look at each individual row to get a better view of where it is the failure occurred. And if I look down at the title field, I can see that the title field is an entry that doesn't appear in the title table. In an ideal world, what I would do is go back to the source data and make the corrections to the source data and rerun the data loader so that the data comes through clean. If that option isn't available, I can simply change the entry here in the data jail to be, for example, Mr. Having made that change, I can then remove the item from the jail and place it back in the staging area by clicking the parole button. In the event that I have a modest number of records to correct, I can go through that process for each record, editing each one and correcting, placing back out into the staging area, ready for revalidation.